330 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Denver Broncos opened their season with a 31-20 win over the New York Giants.
In other news, Anne Marie Smith's attorney plans to refile a complaint that Congressman Gary Condit obstructed justice. A grand jury has decided not to investigate allegations that the California congressman asked Smith to sign a false affidavit.
And a news conference is scheduled this afternoon at Elizabeth Dole's home in Salisbury, North Carolina. The former presidential hopeful is expected to announce that she's running for the Senate seat now held by Jesse Helms, who said he won't seek re-election.
6:45 is our time right now. 65 degrees. Welcome back to News 4 Today. Good morning. I'm Joe Krebs.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Barbara Harris, and it's Tuesday, September 11th, 2001.
In the News 4 Today, a panel from the National Academy of Sciences says that new embryonic stem cell lines will be needed in the future. A report from the panel today is also calling for continued federal funding for the research. Last month, President Bush ordered that the federal funds be used only for work on what he said were about 60 cell lines that already exist, not on any newly developed lines. Today's report says that existing lines can become compromised with age, and scientists worry about mutations posing a health risk to humans. Scientists are trying to learn how to coax stem cells to become new, healthy cells to repair ailing hearts, livers, brains, and other organs. They say the research could lead to cures for a variety of debilitating diseases.
Maryland is one of the states where West Nile virus has been found. So far this year, 16 people in the U.S. have been diagnosed with West Nile, and 1 person has died from it in Georgia. Federal health agencies are keeping Capitol Hill briefed on the rapid spread of this virus. News 4's Doreen Gensler has our report.
We don't know how West Nile virus first arrived in this country in the summer of 1999, but we do know that birds are spreading it across the nation rapidly. Mosquitoes that bite infected birds can transmit it to humans, and it can be deadly. West Nile first appeared in New York. Now it's reaching north to Canada, south to Florida, and west to Wisconsin.
As it was moving northward,
the U.S. Federal Coordinating Committee on West Nile, made up of government agencies like the Centers for Disease Control, the National Institutes of Health, and the U.S. Geological Survey, held a briefing on the Hill to let Congress know more about the migration of birds that carry the virus.
Well, we expected it to start moving, obviously, but not quite as rapidly as we were seeing, particularly in the Midwest. We saw this movement first to Ohio, then Michigan, and Illinois, and Wisconsin now, and so that's kind of unexpected because generally birds don't move east to west in this time of year.
Today was the first time this West Nile task force has addressed Congress. It follows the first diagnosis of human West Nile virus in Maryland last week, a man and then a woman in Baltimore. According to Dr. Bob McLean, who tracks the migration of birds in the U.S., birds that are in Maryland right now will soon be headed to areas where mosquito season is a problem all year round. Right now, one of the biggest concerns is Florida. Authorities there have already identified 4 people with the West Nile virus, and they've found 92 dead birds in Florida that carry the disease. Florida has a year-round mosquito season, and what's more, the huge elderly population there is more susceptible to the worst symptoms of West Nile. Since 1999, the virus has been detected in more than 80 species of birds. As the virus spreads to more locations in the Gulf Coast states and eventually to the Caribbean and Central American countries, the threat of the virus spreading to additional Midwestern and Western states during spring migration becomes greater.
Last summer it was in 12 states, this summer 20. It's continuing to expand into new areas, and it's hard to predict how much of a public health problem it is. We're not going to get rid of it.
Doreen Gensler, News 4.
The Centers for Disease Control is working with state governments to create a nationwide policy on how to handle the virus.
The Environmental Protection Agency now says that it should adopt a new standard for arsenic levels in drinking water that is at least as tough as the one proposed by the Clinton administration. The decision to recommend the new limit was made after receiving a report from the National Academy of Sciences. That report found that health risks posed by arsenic are much greater than previously assumed by the EPA. The EPA's proposal, though, must still be approved by the White House.
Let's go up to New York and find out what's coming up today.
And we'll say good morning to Katie. Hey, Katie, good morning.
Hi, you guys. I was in your neck of the woods yesterday. I didn't get a chance to see you because I was in and out very quickly, but had a hard time getting home because of the weather at National Airport. And they canceled a lot of the shuttles.
Yeah, it was stormy yesterday afternoon, yeah.
A lot of thunder and lightning.
But
so
you made it.
Well,
That's good.
Yeah, I made it back on the train. Actually had a nice time on. I went on that fast train. You know, what's that called?
Oh, yeah,
the
the Acela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
It took about 2 hours and 40 minutes, something
that's
like
not
that.
bad.
Nice ride?
Yeah, it was fun. Saw a lot of people I knew. Had a little party. Anyway, let me tell you what's coming up this Tuesday morning on Today. Something that you all, I know, have been talking about, because Washington must be going crazy with news that Michael Jordan is closer than ever to returning to the basketball court, this time as a Wizard. We're going to get the latest from Bob Costas on that. Then the future of the economy. It may all be up to consumers now. We'll get a forecast from President Bush's Commerce Secretary and point man, Don Evans. Someone who knows a little bit about commerce himself. Retiring GE Chairman Jack Welch will be here. He is one of the most successful CEOs in history. Now it's all in his new book, Jack Straight from the Gut. One of our favorites, Tracy Ullman, will stop by to talk about a new show she has called Visible Panty Lines. And last year, it was razor scooters. This year, there's another craze that will have holiday shoppers hopping mad, pogo sticks. So all that and more coming up in just a few minutes here on Today. Barbara and Joe, back to you in Washington.
Maybe you have Tracy Ullman and Jack Welch together.
Yeah, they could do a show. I don't know.
That would be
I'm
something.
not that quick, Joe. I would try to think of some funny title of a show for those two, but I can't think of one.
Okay.
All right, Katie, we'll be watching you.
Have a great one.
Okay.
See you later.
See you guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
The district's school budget is $80 million in the red, and that's going to mean some changes in the way the school system operates. School Board President Peggy Cooper-Kayford says she can probably attribute the shortfall this fiscal year to incompetence rather than any other reason. Yesterday, Kayford and Superintendent Paul Vance talked about the budget shortfall. The board president says the schools will try to close the deficit without affecting the lives of students, but she says too much spending on special education will have to be addressed.
At the same pace in special education without having overruns, and so that's going to have to be programmatically addressed in the months ahead.
Kayford says she expects there also will be a freeze on spending for school supplies.
Montgomery County says the new program of all-day kindergarten is paying off. School Superintendent Jerry Weiss was at Glen Haven Elementary School in Silver Spring yesterday to talk about the program. A new study compared the reading skills of students who attended half-day kindergarten to children who went for a full day. The study found a much greater increase in reading skills for the full-day students, especially for those who speak English as a second language. Teachers say that even they were surprised at the results.
By the end of the year, following this framework, they reached heights that I never would have imagined. So it really does work. And being a veteran teacher, it wasn't easy, but it surely is worthwhile.
Nancy Grasmick, the Maryland State School Superintendent, says that she will use the results to push for a statewide program of all-day kindergarten.
Montgomery County is set to consider what could be the first county-wide development tax. The County Council is expected to begin the process today. The tax would loosen restrictions on growth around metro stops, but would discourage development elsewhere. It could raise up to $6 million a year for road projects, expansion of mass transit and other services to get drivers off the roads. A proposal for a county-wide impact tax failed 2 years ago when County Executive Doug Duncan opposed the plan. This year's plan is said to be closer to what Duncan wants, but he thinks it still needs some work.
Washington Post reporter Margaret Pressler joins us again with another look at business.
She's going to tell us about big changes coming to your neighborhood video store.
Yes, well, Luddites like Joe may not like this, but, well, Blockbuster says it will sharply reduce the number of video cassettes in all of its U.S. stores to make room for more DVDs. The videos Blockbuster will be removing are among the least popular and account for just about 1% of all rentals, so it shouldn't be too hard. But currently, only 20% of Blockbuster's rental revenue comes from DVDs. The expansion of the category at Blockbuster is a signal that the DVD format is rapidly gaining mainstream acceptance. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has filed suit against Wall Street securities firm Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. It says the firm discriminated against 100 current and former female employees, paying them less than men, denying them promotions, and shutting them out of social functions. The case is unusual in part because one of the women in the case made more than $1 million in 1 year at Morgan Stanley in 1998. Let's take a look now at what's happening in the markets overseas. In Tokyo, the Nikkei rose 97 points today after a decline in the yen helped export stocks, closed at 10,292. In Europe, markets are also moving slightly higher. On Wall Street, the Dow was on a seesaw, falling 100 points, rising 150, ultimately closing just a fraction lower. The Dow opens for trading this morning at 96.05. Tech stocks closed slightly higher, rising 7 points to 1695. And finally, new research finds that working the night shift may increase a person's risk of heart disease. Dutch researchers say working at night puts extra stress on the body, which can cause abnormal heart rhythms. The researchers compared 400 people on a night shift with 400 people on a day shift and found that people who worked irregular hours had more abnormal heartbeats. That could make them more susceptible to heart attacks and stroke.
Now
you call this a night shift?
Yeah, well, I guess abnormal hours is what they say. Abnormal. I'd say this is abnormal.
Definitely abnormal. Thanks very much.
Go along with that. All right, thank you, Margaret.
Okay, and here's a man who's as odd as the rest of us, abnormal as the rest of us. Here's Tom.
My ticker's doing fine. Hey, this morning we've got temperatures that have dipped into the 50s in a few spots in the suburbs. Inside the Beltway, generally in the low 60s right now, but it's a fresh, cool change from yesterday's high humidity. And it's going to certainly feel like fall with the bright sunshine pouring down in a clear sky today. A northwest breeze about 10 to 20, highs reaching the low 80s. Sunset will be at 7:22. More of the same tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow morning even cooler than this morning. Thursday evening there might be a passing shower. Otherwise dry weather as we get into the weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday should be dry with highs just near 70. Now let's check on that traffic. Jerry, how's it going now?
Tom, we are loading up this morning. Let's go to Springfield and show you 95 northbound. Before this point, had an accident in Dale City. A broken down truck at Potomac Mills Mall has been cleared, so the lanes are open, but it is just thick as it gets. Let's check in from the North Country. Also quite heavy now on the drive south on I-270, coming to and through Germantown. So busy morning out there, Barbara and Joe. We'll keep you updated throughout the morning.
Thanks,
okay,
Jerry.
Joe, thanks. Here's some of the other stories we're going to be looking at in this day ahead. At 11 o'clock this morning, the National Research Council and the Institute of Medicine plan to release a report on the scientific potential of stem cell research.
At 11:30, human rights activists, environmentalists, religious leaders, and other groups are expected to announce plans for a peaceful march and rally for global justice. That march is scheduled to happen at noon on Sunday, September 30th, during the meetings of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund here in the district.
And at 1:30 this afternoon, IMF representatives plan to hold a forum on upcoming meetings at American University's Washington College of Law.
And that's it for now. Be sure to join us for News 410, and then tomorrow morning, get up with us at 5 a.m. Have a great Tuesday.
Bye.
Closed captioning brought to you by Verizon Communications.
If you can move your fingers, you can bid your new Toyota. Select the options and accessories. Get a quote. Arrange for financing. Or shop for a certified used Toyota. BuyAToyota.com. Our showroom in your home. Log on.
A new season is coming. Are you ready? The new season starts Monday, September 17th on NBC.
November 29th, 1999. Helms-Biden becomes law, promising the UN America's overdue bills will be paid if the UN makes changes. It does that and more, even naming an inspector general to cut waste. But we don't pay. Then the Senate votes to pay the bill, and the House too. Now, 2 years after Helms-Biden, congressional gridlock still stops payment. Before President Bush makes his first speech at the UN, Congress should honor our commitment and pay the UN bill. Great nations keep their word.
With Weight Watchers, every food has a points value. And now every point works harder than ever. Introducing Winning Points, the way to stay satisfied. Eat what you like and still stay within your daily points range. So you stick with it and lose.
Now, take it off and show it off. Enter Weight Watchers Take It Off, Show It Off sweepstakes. Win a fabulous new $10,000 wardrobe.
Now's the time to join Weight Watchers. For pricing and location information, call 301-770-4115.
Active adults 55 and over are discovering the fun begins at Heritage Hunt Golf and Country Club in Gainesville, Virginia. Winner of the nation's best over 55 active adult community, and the fun never ends because home ownership includes golf and country club membership at no additional charge. Priced from the 200s, call 703-743-3000 for directions. Equal housing opportunity.
The News 4 Storm Team, working for you.